Hey, Slay Nation, it's your host, Heather, back with another episode of the So She Slays podcast. I'm really excited to dive into today's conversation because everybody, if you've been listening to this podcast, you know that I'm a creative, proud creative over here. I have a slew of friends that are in the different aspects of the creative industry. But I know, like, when it comes down to it, a lot of people are just like, the creative industry can, like, feel like a wild ride. It's a giant roller coaster. And like one day you feel like you're doing amazing and the next day you're like, does anybody care about anything that I'm doing? So it's an industry not for the faint of heart. And I know some of y'all are like, how do you stay creative and relevant and also get paid, but not burn out and not feel like you're selling out? Like, if there's not enough criteria we have to meet already. Well, today I have Roxanne Messina Captor in. Like, she is an Emmy nominated writer, director, and producer. She's worked with legends like Francis Ford Coppola. She led the California's Creative Arts Council, and she continues to be an educator, and she's taught like at Cal Arts and UCLA, and she's pivoted so many times: film, theater, advocacy. Like, you definitely have had a creative career that has been sustainable and last, Roxanne. So before we dive into today's topic, give us a little spiel about what you got going on, what you've been doing. I mean, you're out here and you're still doing the thing.
Well, right now we're in the midst of the Newport Beach Film Festival, which I have to do a shout out. Fabulous festival, incredibly well run. Greg and Todd, the two co-founders, and it's been going for 25 years. And for any festivals to sustain that long and do as well as they do, it's a real honor. So they took two of my films. They took one called Rhythm and Harmony, which is a documentary on Stanley Clarke that was done with Broad Stage and Santa Monica College. And then they took another film that we shot in Canada called Dickens of a Christmas. And they did so well Sunday at the screenings, they sold out. So they now have added two other screenings for both the films.
Oh my
So
goodness.
it's been a great ride with them,
Congratulations.
and it's been very exciting. And I am chair of the California Arts Council, originally appointed by our governor. And it's an advocacy group for the arts in the state. We help to support them through grants and various other sources. And I have projects in development now. The last movie I did was with Hallmark. It was called Dream Moms. It was Tamara Mowry Housley, who is brilliant. And it was a musical, and so it drew on my past experience as a dancer and a musical theater, Broadway triple threat. So it was just a fantastic thing. So I'm looking forward to doing more work with Hallmark. And I have a project I wrote on Pearl Buck, which is a big project, and we're in the process of getting it to various talent and looking at making that as a substantial feature. So
Oh, look at you. Like, you know what? It's like, if anybody's in the film and television arena, you know, like, how much work all of that is. Like, it is no small feat to get feature films or any sort of film, whether it be feature or short, shown and in film festivals. It is like, it takes a village. It's so much work. So I really want to kind of get down to the nitty gritty of like the business of creativity. And you and I offline had a little bit of a conversation. We like, I have some interns that are just like, oh, I want to get into film and television. What are your, I like, what are your ideas of what I should do, or what did you do, and all this kind of stuff. And I know you have to get those types of questions too. So let's go ahead and talk about the business behind creative, like, in the creative industry. And what are the things that you're telling people right now?
well, the first thing I tell my students is passion. If you don't have the passion, get out. Passion, persistence, perseverance, and resilience.
Mm,
This is not a business like you go into a company and you build up and then you get to retirement. This is a roller coaster. You're up at the top and you're down at the bottom. You're up at the top, you're down at the bottom. And we're creatives. And if we're creatives, we should be creating.
Mm.
And I always say, create your own jobs. Don't just sit back and whine or sit back and worry about when is something going to happen for me. Create. If you're an actor, get with other actors and get a space and perform. And if you're a filmmaker or you're trying to break into being a filmmaker, then make movies. That's, if you're talking about the Ron Howards and the Coppolas and the George Lucases, that's what they did. They had a team, they had people they trusted, they were friends. And when, they didn't just wait for the studios, they went out and made movies. That's what they did. And then, and it's like dance. If you keep doing your plies every day, you're going to get better. So if you keep shooting and you keep making movies, and now it's so easy because you can use your iPhone and you can get a really decent, and there are some festivals now that are taking films. They have a section that's just for iPhone films. And so, there's a lot of ways, if you want to really be creative, to continue working as a creative. So you have to make your own work.
It's very much the truth. That's kind of what I tell people a lot of times is like, if you're creative, it's kind of just like, oh, if you're an actor, go out and find a stage. I mean, I have so many musician friends that I'm just like, well, go find a stage and sing and be a musician. Like, it's the same thing with acting. It's like, if you want to act, then go act. Like, go to a community theater, go to all this other stuff. I think a lot of times people stand in their own way because it's like, oh, it's not big enough, it's not flashy enough, it's this, that, and the other. And I almost really want to be like, well, why are you actually doing this then? Because it's not going to be flashy more times than it actually is. Like,
no, it's a lot of hard work and
so
a lot of
work.
these, I've done 2 movies now in Canada, and you wake up it was beautiful, and the next day you wake up and you got 3 feet of snow on your balcony. So, we have to pivot as to what we're going to shoot, and you're driving to these places and now it's snowing. And so it's a lot of hard work, and the people who sustain and keep going, they know it. They do the hard work. It's nice to have the awards. I've been given a number of awards. I received the Visionary Award from the ARPA Film Festival last year. I had one I'm really honored by the Chevalier d'Ordre of Arts and Letters by the French government for my work in the arts. And, there's and the Emmy nomination and the Humanitas Award that we won. So they're great, but behind that, like, I'm always looking at what's underneath. Most of the projects I do have a theme of what's underneath. Whatever it looks like on the surface, that's fine, but there's something underneath. So even the Pearl Project, here was this woman who accomplished so many things, the Nobel Prize, the Pulitzer Prize, but underneath, she says to her sister in the script, I'd give it all up if I could have one more natural child. So this was a woman still searching for her identity as a woman. So those kind of thematic things are always interesting to me. And I think it's the same thing in life. You can't just look at the Oscars or whatever and say, oh, wow, it's so glamorous and so this and that. And what's the work that went into that? What's underneath?
Yeah, I always remind people, especially if you're not in the creative industry, like, what you see is 10%. You see the last 10%. You don't see the other 90 that happened and the craziness behind it. Let's go ahead and pivot and talk a little bit about, like, getting paid to be creative, because everybody knows, like, even myself, like, a lot of times it's a labor of love. All right. Yep. What do you know about a budget? What do you know about, like, getting paid? Because that's not always the case. And even if you do get paid, we're talking pennies sometimes. So how do you actually make this sustainable and something you can live off of?
Well, there's the old adage, don't give up your day job. So, there's a lot of truth to that, you know. We were at the Pantages seeing a play and we had some time, so we went next door to have a drink. And I saw this huge line of very handsome and beautiful women all down Hollywood Boulevard. And I thought, oh, it must be an audition. So I went over, of course, and I said, so what are you guys auditioning for? And they said, oh, it's a new restaurant opening up. We're all applying to be waiters and bartenders. And this was obviously a whole group of people who were here to be in the entertainment industry, but they were getting their jobs in in food and beverage. That's
Mm-hmm.
where they were
Mm-hmm.
making their living. So I think you always have to have something to fall back on. And then I think you have to balance things. You have to know when you're willing to do something that's a passion, that you're willing to do it and not get paid, because it's
Mm-hmm.
either going to help motivate your career or it's going to be something that you're passionate about. And when there's things that you have to put your foot down and say, sorry, I can't do this unless I'm getting whatever my salary is.
Yeah.
And it's hard. As a creative, it's hard because you're always got this idea and, oh, let's do this and let's do that. And, you just have to say, sometimes you got to draw the line. And it's always difficult because I have it now too. I mean, there's times I'm like, why did I say I'd do that?
Oh, I can't even tell you. Sometimes I'm like, why did I sign on to this project? Why
Exactly.
why did
So,
I think this
you
was
have
gonna be a
to,
good idea?
yeah, you just have to be, as you mature, you realize that you can't always be giving. You have to just put down the boundaries and say, okay, I'll do this project, but this is what I have to get paid.
Yeah, I think also too, this is what I always tell people. If you're interested in, we're gonna say film and television to begin with, right? Because I think a lot of people are just like, oh gosh, this is so hard to like break into. It's so hard to do this and this. I say go work on student films.
Yep.
Go work on student films. Go be an unpaid PA for a little bit. Because a lot of times, or go work on those indie films or something like that, where you're not maybe getting paid a whole lot, or if at all. Um, this industry, unfortunately, you have to prove yourself, and for a little bit, that means you're working for free. So,
And you have to look at it is a mentorship business. Yes,
mhm,
there's film schools and some of them are excellent, but it is a mentorship business. So finding someone who can guide you through, you know. And the other thing I tell my students, don't always look for I want to be a writer, I want to be a director, I want to be a producer. Look at all the many jobs there are, post-production jobs, storyboard artists. There's so many jobs that people need on a regular basis that will pay you. And maybe that's something you're really good at and you enjoy, So, and they tend to forget about those things. Everybody wants to be so there's tons of jobs and work that I don't care if it's a $200 million film, they need those people as well as the independents need those people, and hone those skills, make them
mhm,
really good, you
mhm.
know.
I
And there's
also,
so many side businesses, that have popped up that are part of what the industry needs
mm,
or the festivals need. And, start one of those or get involved with those areas.
110%. And this is what I always tell people too. Yes, to everything you just said, and to add on top of it too, I think it's so important to understand all the aspects of production and how they all work and how they all feed into each other.
Right.
It is so important. So absolutely, like, take your advice, go and look at what the post production team is looking like. Go look what the pre production, what the actual production is. Everybody thinks it just starts and stops in the actual production aspect of things, and that's just not the truth. That's just not the truth at all.
It's true.
So, and also too, I want to talk to people that are maybe not in film and television, whether you are in social media, whether you are content creating, you're a podcast host, whatever it may be. I almost say that gives you a little bit of an easier start, as far as going out to create. If you're a creative, you have to create. So, and I also want to tell people, like, whether you are an actor, well-known director, writer, or, an influencer of any kind, there's multiple streams of like revenue happening here. Nobody is just a writer and that's it. Like, gone are those days. There's a lot of different things, like, and I'm sure, Roxanne, you can kind of talk about this too with yourself and having the amount of success that you've had. There's a lot of actors out there that are like, that's why they have, clothing lines, beauty lines,
Exactly.
tequila, like all of this kind of stuff. There's different there's
Donut.
different things. Exactly. There's different things because you cannot be just one thing. It just doesn't
Well,
work that way.
a couple years ago, I had a project that was on the road. The money was there. The major star was there. I had a fabulous exec producer. We were set to go. And then the financing source money didn't come through. And this was just before Christmas. So they said, we're sorry, we can't do it, And everything was in place. It was all. And so I was seeing a friend of mine who's a prominent actor. And I told him what happened. And he said, well, you have a choice. You can go to bed for a month and cry your eyes out, or you can go do another project. And so I went, yeah, I guess you're right. So a couple of white chicks at the hairdresser became a film with Shelley Long and Harry Shearer and that film has done so well. It was in the Cannes Short Film Corner. It's won awards, and it's on Tubi now, and it's done really well. And it all happened because I had this devastation, that this thing was going to happen, and it was so great and everything was fine. But my friend said, that's your choice. You can go to bed or you can do something else.
Mm-hmm.
So we did something else.
Look, I I feel like it's the journey of an artist, right? It's the journey of the creative. Now, I want to talk about a little bit about where this industry is headed, where entertainment is headed, and how you have to pivot so much as a creative. I know that if you are in the entertainment industry of any sorts, honestly, if you're not living under a rock, you know that AI is here. It's changing everything.
For sure.
And if you are in the industry, or you're a consumer of all of the videos and films and all that stuff, vertical format is now taking off here in the States. It's taken off in China before. It's been long taken off over there, but it is, definitely putting down some roots here in the States now. And I don't think it's going anywhere. So I would love to I would love to kind of get your kind of perspective on how you've been able to spot trends and pivot when you feel like, okay, I'm starting to see some things change, and then kind of starting anew. Because I know sometimes, like just the other day, I had one of my friends post on his stories, like, please tell me I know somebody who knows how to DP a vertical. And like, and it's like, that's where we are. So talk to me about this pivoting and where this industry is going.
Well, I don't think it's any different than any other industry. It's always moving. It just is, maybe sometimes moving faster. And it's also more in the press. People are always interested in what's happening. I mean, what was it? 10 years ago, there was no streaming. And then we had Netflix and we had streaming. And then it became, now almost everybody streams. There's no more cable, there's no more, and when
Mhm.
I was one of the founding executives of Turner Network Television, we were at the cusp of cable. It was the
Mhm.
big hot thing. It was no longer the networks, it was cable. And that was the big
Mhm.
thing, HBO and TNT and all of that. Then the cable's gone and it's streaming. And frankly, Silicon Valley has taken over Hollywood, which was always kind of there. I mean, when I ran the San Francisco International Film Festival, I was there from '01 to '06. And it was pretty obvious that Silicon Valley wanted to come into Hollywood. And they have the money and they have the creatives. And so it's happened. So, as far as AI goes, I played around with it. I think it's great in terms of research. I think it's really a great way to do your research for things. I don't think it may be in the future, but I don't think it's there yet in terms of actually writing a script. I don't think it's there yet in terms of actually making a movie. Although there are some people that are playing around with it to make short
Mhm.
films. And some are okay, some are not very good. So, it's, I kind of like playing with it. It's fun.
Mhm.
But I don't think you can rely on AI as the be all and the end all.
Yeah.
It's like it can give you, like what I'm saying, it gives you your research, and then you can
Mhm.
go from that and do whatever you have to do with your project. There was a period where all the schools said, absolutely not, no AI, it's banned. We had to put that in our syllabus. Now it's just the opposite. Now it's, okay, we can embrace it, but the students have to tell you if they've used AI. And
Yeah.
one of the homework assignments, it was quite obvious they had just copied whatever Chat GPT had said. And so I went back, I said,
Mm-mm.
this is AI. And you need to, like, I don't mind you using it for research, but you need to make this yourself, you know. So I think you just have to, stay up on whatever's going on the best you can, and keep people around you that are knowledgeable about those things and learn. And I've gone to some seminars on AI, and, I'm in a group called Greenlight Women, and they had a whole seminar on AI that I went to. So, you're always learning is the bottom line.
Mhm. Mhm. Agreed. I kind of feel like a creator, I cannot remember her. She's a content creator. And she put it the best way that I have ever heard. She said, it's not so much you learning all the different softwares of all the different things and all this kind of stuff. It's more important to realize and know how you learn, because you're going to never not learn. Like you're never going to have to like stop learning. Technology in life in general is just moving so fast that AI today, give it 6 months to a year, it's going to be different. Give our job market 5 years from now, it's going to be so different. The qualifications and what people are going to be looking for, this, that, and the other. It is gone are the days where it's just like I just do one thing. Like,
Well, I mean, look at you. I mean, there was no podcasts 5 years ago.
no, this started during the pandemic.
Yeah, and then there's some of them like the one the lady who was on Friends. She
Mhm.
did that podcast, and then it went to Lisa Kudrow. It
Yes.
went to series.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
there's a lot of podcasts, and there's a lot of people still searching through that. And at one point, all the YouTube creators were just YouTube creators. Then people started looking at them and saying, "Oh, they could do a series for NBC, or they could do a series for Apple, or da da da." So there's platforms that are building up, and AI is a good place to, if you're young and you can really research it and learn it. Depending where that's going to go in the future, that could be a potential job for people.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think that's going anywhere.
Because you always have to hire a team. You can't film, television, it's a team, it's a collaborative. You have to hire a team. There's no way I can know everything about the new technology, the new cameras, the new blah, 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 blah. You know enough to be a good director, but you know, I rely on a really good director of photography, you
Oh, it's
know.
such a team aspect. Anything in the creative world, I feel like, is the team aspect. If I am someone who is looking to pivot into something new, what do you think are the top things that are probably the most important that I need to do for myself, to help kind of launch myself either into a new career or pivot into like maybe an adjacent one, much like, theater and film or something like that? Like what would you be your like top advice?
Well, again, passion. You have to know
Mm-hmm.
where you're sitting. What are your skills? You know, if you're somebody who's really more technical, you should be looking at technical aspects of film and television and all that. Um, if you're somebody who, we just talked about AI, keep on top of that. Maybe that's an area that, is going to be offering jobs in the future, or if you really are passionate about setting up shots and framing and lighting and all that, then start apprenticing to good directors of photography, you know.
Yeah. I
So you have to look at all aspects, or maybe you like craft services. There's nothing wrong with being a craft service
Look,
person.
they save my life more than once. Like,
Exactly.
do not
But
downplay a
all
craft
theory
service.
is every crew operates on its stomach. You feed them
Mm-hmm.
good, they'll do good work.
Yep.
Jimmy.
Yep.
And you need to be respectful. I learned that from Francis. You need to be respectful of your crew. These are hardworking people. And there are some people who don't respect their crews. And I just think that's completely wrong. You need to respect them. You need to give them the honor that they deserve for the hard work that they do. They're the ones that are at that set, bringing up the trucks and setting everything up at 3, 4 in the morning so you can
Yep.
start shooting by 6 or 7.
Yep.
you know I don't want to be doing
I don't want to do that either.
but
But they
they do,
do.
and they do a great job in transpo. And if you're a good driver, look at transpo's
Mm-hmm.
a great. I have a great story. So I had a friend who had just graduated from college. His brother had just graduated, and he wanted to kind of get into the entertainment business. So I knew a producer that was looking for a PA. So I introduced them, and they hit each other, and they hit it off.
Mm-hmm.
So he was one of these people. He said, I'm going to do my absolute best that I can do with this. So he knew that this producer liked his bagel and coffee on his desk at 6 in the morning. At 5:45, that bagel and coffee were on that producer's desk. He did everything. He got the dry cleaning, he did whatever, never complained. But in the meantime, he's learning, he's on the set, so finally, this producer said, you got a great work ethic, and I really like you. And what are you kind of thinking you're interested in? And he says, well, I like the special effects area. I like what they're doing over there. And he goes, okay. So it was a company who was doing the special effects, an outside company. And this producer made sure that he got like an internship PA job with that company. He's now one of the top special effects people. He was on Kevin Costner's movies. He's been all over the world, and he has a family. He's making a great living. But that's how, you can't sit back and say, well, I don't want to I'm not going to get up and get him no, he
Coffee or
did whatever.
bagel.
He was there, he learned, he did his stuff, and it paid off. So now, so I think that kind of work ethic is important too.
110%. I really think, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's who you know, kind of a thing. Yeah, yes and no. I feel like if you are a good person, and obviously you're not sitting on your hands, you're actually going out there and you're like, okay, I'm gonna intern, okay, I'm gonna try and work on this indie, or let me build my own community of creatives, let me go do this networking thing. I think you have to just go out there and do it.
Yeah. And
This
you need to
industry.
meet people. And I tell the students, you're in school now. You've got a group that you stay with that group, form
Mm-hmm.
create something with that group. And one of them may get a job here. I mean, one of my students, she was a real go-getter. She did everything. Anytime I needed anything, she was like right there, you know, and she took she kept taking lessons to learn. And, it turned out she ended up getting a job as an intern for a major producer that it turned into being his assistant, because the assistant had to take maternity leave and they asked her if she wanted to do it. So she did that. And now she's working for a major company doing production stuff, which she loves, So, but it all came from, she did, no matter what you asked her to do, she was like, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll be there for you. And she was
Mm-hmm.
always fabulous. And now she's, she's got great jobs.
There's ways to do it, y'all. There's ways to do it.
You gotta stick with your group and then pan out from that group.
I think, yeah, that's really smart. I definitely, the group that, I'm friends with, that we've worked with across the table, like, we've kind of just, if you're a good person and we like you, you kind of, we've worked together before, you kind of come into the fold. And honestly, I just call it my film fam. They're my film
Yeah,
family.
exactly.
And, we do projects together. And if somebody has something, we just work on it together. There's ways to go about doing this. And definitely, even if you're not in the film and television industry and you're just a creative in general, uh, a lot of corporate people do need creatives, okay? Because
Well,
we
yeah,
are
there's
we
all
are
that.
we are what
I
makes the
mean,
world pretty.
a lot of corporations need writers to do their corporate writing
Mm-hmm.
materials. They need, for a long time, I knew people that did what they call industrial videos. So they
Mm-hmm.
would get jobs with AT&T or any of these big companies, and they would do the videos that would be used internally, maybe
Yeah.
to educate the staff, or maybe it was the president wanted to give a special message out to about the company. So, and they made very good money doing
Mm-hmm.
these industrial videos. And talk about, they needed actors for it. So they would hire actors. They would.
It's a whole thing. There's more than one way to go about this. And I mean, I got started in broadcast. So I worked in live studios and I was also a reporter for a long time. So I mean, like, there's different ways to get involved in this industry. I just say you kind of have to have the get up and go to be able to do it. No one's gonna just hand it to you.
That's the key. No one is going to hand it to you.
No one's gonna hand it to you.
That's where I said, create your own projects, create your own jobs.
Mm-hmm. And also know too that if you have an inclination as a creative for any sort of anything, know that this industry or any other creative industry tends to just pick you. Okay? Because a lot of times you can walk away from these industries, but you always find yourself right back. I mean, I've tried to walk away from this industry twice and I found myself back here again. I'm not going anywhere. I finally gave up and was like, all right, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
And every time you say you're going to quit, that's when something comes.
Exactly.
Somebody asked me, and I said, no, it's not this way. It doesn't go this way. It's like I'm on this path and I go, okay, this is going to happen. And I'm doing this project. And, da, 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 da. And all of a sudden from over here, bam. And I go, oh, okay, I guess that's what I'm doing. And that turns out to be the best possible thing you could have done at that
Mm-hmm.
moment for your career and for yourself. But for me, anyway, it always comes from oh, okay.
Out of the blue.
Yeah, just like hit you from the side, not down that path you've been
Yeah.
going.
It's not a straight journey by any means. It's definitely highs and lows. And what I will tell you is it's not for the faint of heart. So if you're wanting security, if you're wanting something that you can count on, kind of a thing, maybe not this industry. Or maybe you try to go about it in like a corporate setting, where there's a little bit more of a structure.
Yeah.
A lot of this time, if you freelance it or you do your own stuff, or you know it's anything along those lines, know that that structure is just not going to be there. So know yourself, be self-aware. If you know you need that, maybe we don't take this route.
Yeah, you're right. And, Gene Kelly said something to me, always balance your personal life with your work life.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let one go.
You
And
need
he
both.
said that balance is really important. And I never forgot that he told me that. And it's not easy because we get wrapped up in our work life, but I try to always remember that and make that balance happen.
Oh, right there with you. Roxanne, thank you so much for joining
Thank you,
us.
Heather.
Where can people find you, follow you, maybe reach out if they have some questions of their own?
I'm on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook. Instagram, it's at RMC Films. And Facebook, it's my name, Roxanne Messina Captor. And LinkedIn, of course, same thing, Roxanne Messina Captor. I'm not on Twitter anymore. I was, but I got rid of that. And I am not on the other one that
All the
there's
other
always,
ones, the
yeah,
TikToks, the Facebooks, all
TikTok.
of
I'm
it.
not on that, but and one of my students said they were going to get me on TikTok, and I was like, okay, well, we'll see. How many of these can you do? So, and I do have a website. It's roxannemessinacaptor.com. So
there we go. There's all the ways you can reach out. And thanks for kind of sharing your wisdom with us here and trying to
Sure,
figure out.
Heather, it's been a pleasure.
Oh my goodness. The creative industry, it's an industry, y'all. It's an industry.
Don't forget that.
It's a business. And you know what?
And it was very
Yeah.
hard as a creative, coming from a dance background, to get that through my head. I had to finally say, wait a minute, hold off. This is your passion and what you do, but you've got to be realistic on the business side. And you've got to look at it as a business.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and on that note, Slay Nation, thank you as always for listening. We appreciate you. If you love this episode, don't forget to rate, review, share it. Every time you do that, you really help this episode reach a lot of people who probably need it and want some advice or some guidance. But thank you so much for listening, Roxanne. Thank you so much for joining. And until next time, Slay Nation, we'll catch you later.